This information you are about to hear and perhaps view, these are not necessarily the thoughts or the ideas of Gary C.Clement or the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast. We are in no way, shape, or form affiliated with the parties this story is about or was interviewed for. Parts of this content may not be owned by or the property of the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, G2 Network Media, or any other company we are affiliated with, and this information is strictly the opinion of those being interviewed. This content is for information purposes only, and although we may make reference to various news stories, we share our own independent beliefs about the content and provide our own opinions. Please enjoy the information. Hi, my name is Gary C. Clement, and welcome to the Gary Clement Radio Show and Podcast. Today, we are excited to have a young lady from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, who so happens right now to be studying in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's the author of Black Tech Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow, Leaders in Technology. Please help me welcome Miss Theresa Merritt Watson. How are you today?
I am doing well. How are you doing, Gary?
Everything is good. Thanks for asking. Now, please tell us about where you grew up and about this new project that you have.
I grew up in Chapel Hill. Lived on a farm. I was raised on a farm. A lot of people don't think Chapel Hill have farms. We have plenty of farms. And I enjoyed. I have 45 first cousins. So that was exciting because we just simply enjoyed each other. I had a lot of play. My parents, they're blue collar workers. Of course, my grandfather, which actually was the one that owned the farm. I went to Chapel Hill High School, graduated there. Went to Shaw University, graduated from Shaw. Went to University of Arizona. I got an undergrad at Shaw in business, got an MBA, ended up getting an MED, and currently I'm working on my doctorate with a focus on changing the trajectory of African Americans in education and economics. I have 6 kids, and they're lovely kids. I enjoy them all.
Okay.
Actually, I actually enjoy people, period. So I enjoy my children as well. Right. So it's not nothing real, profound and prolific, other than I actually enjoy life.
I see. I understand. Okay. So first of all, you are an author. You've written books. Tell us, I guess, from the beginning, what got you into writing about, our people, or just becoming an author, period?
Well, I was an author back in 2008 when I wrote a book called Guide for Teen Parents. And so what it was is I was going about working with students, and the ones that was teenage moms and things, they were dropping out of school at a higher rate than normal teenage women. And so I wrote the book to sort of set a guideline on parenting, as well as things you can do to keep your life structured. Structure is important. I think people don't understand the importance of structure and standard in a child's life and in your life. It makes things happen when things are done in order. So that was my first one. Now, nearly 20 years later, I wrote Black Tech. As you see, the dynamics of the world is changing. The world is constantly changing and we're still having issues in education. And I classify this issue because the African-American kid, when you're working with the kids one-on-one, you see the brilliancy in those children. But it does not translate into the test scores. It does not translate into graduation. It does not translate into the prison system. And so I tried to come up with something. How can we impact our African-American community where we are pivoting for the direction that seemed like we've been stirred to go? And so that's why I ended up writing the book. When I first started considering this, I was going to write it in upper grade form, like, middle school, 6th, 7th grade, 5th, 6th, 7th grades, about African-American. Then it dawned on me and that it is going to be important that people are able to pick up the book and learn something. It's harder, people are not going to pick up and read a passage from something that's written at the upper grade, but at the lower grade, between first and third grade, people can pick up the book and see Gladys West created the GPS. They can see Jesse Russell's involvement in the profound and prolific involvement in the cell phone as we use it today. But most people don't think of the great things that he have done, your security system. So if you pick up my book now and you look up and you happen to pass through to the security system, one of the things you see is that Miriam, when she's creating this, you can read the passage right away. And people can relate to it. So I'm saying, what can I create where the students, the kids can relate to it and see the great things that African Americans have done? And not only that, what I've done, because I've done majority white classes or different locations that has been a large white population, they too learn about the great things that we have done. And until we get a sense of us being critiquing and looking at what we have done and other people looking at what we've done, we stay sort of on a plateau of not moving up or down, or sometimes down. And as the world changing, and it's changing, we're going to be the person left behind if we don't start acknowledging how great we're doing. And so if you don't acknowledge what you have done, a lot of times you'll see the drop off. If we had knowledge what the great things that we have done, I contend to you that Black people would have had a more prolific involvement or acknowledgement in the sciences, in the math, and in geography, and logistics. I mean, in just so many different areas, we would have had. We still have those things, research and acknowledgement going on in our community, but we don't know about it. We don't hear about it. We don't convey it like we convey other people. We convey the negative stuff that's going on in our community, but not the positive.
Right, I see. Okay. I didn't grow up in a household of Afro-American parents whom went to a historically Black college, or any college actually. Information that you're speaking of, which is of Black inventors, I didn't get the information from my Black household. I didn't get the information from the Black church, nor did I get the information from going to school. How do we avoid this in the future and basically make this information something that our Black kids today will want to know, want to understand, and want to actually find out more about?
Well, actually, I believe that before a child actually goes to school, you should teach them some things about Black history and have them have the mindset of greatness before they enter into our school system. Yeah, Black people got to remember that school system wasn't designed with them in mind. And so once they get to school, they already have that pride. They already open to the learning process. And so people now are looking at us as having a behavior. A lot of our kids having behavior issues. The parents, we do have a high population of single parent household, and that's also impacting some other components as it relates to school. So we can take what we know now and have our kids go to school with a sense of pride, with a sense of self. It will make a difference on how they view education. And then we have other problems that when they don't do that, it is not something that's delivered in school, even though history is an important subject, which should include all history, and it's the good, bad, and the ugly. It should include it all. And so we're losing our kids by the time they get to third grade, because we have allowed, as Black people, if our kids are not making it in first grade, mm-hmm. The belief is you see that in the first 9 weeks and you know who those kids are. Right. Instead of pulling them aside to have them master the absolutely necessary things that they need, you continue to teach class or do a few things, and that kid get promoted to the second grade. with those same deficiencies that you saw in the first grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then you promote them to the third grade. By this time, the kid know they're not with the rest of the class. They know that they're not up to par academically. They don't, they don't see their strengths, and all kids have strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't have any choice but to act out. They don't have any choice but actually to withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you've got a 12th grader, a high schooler, that have been pushed through the system. And what my book is designed to do is to jumpstart us back into the environment of awareness, of advocating for ourselves. And if it doesn't get it from home, the teachers, the school system should, if they're going to be talking about math and science, it should include some of the Black people, because we have had a profound impact in both of those, math and science,
right.
and reading and language and so forth. You could see that, but no one, people are not really putting forth the effort to, and it's not just like something hidden, it's right on the surface that you can look at and see.
Right.
And so some of that relies on us. So I'm taking the approach that my books will jumpstart the Black people particularly into a direction of us changing the trajectory of our own kids. That's why I created Lead and Read, which involves the African American Church. And they become members with Synergy Training. And what they end up doing is getting a student in the community between 4 and 9. And that student call once a week to their church member and read to them for 10 minutes.
Wow.
Now, with this in mind, you have to know that we're changing. When we go into the civil rights buckets and fight for things for us, we pull out one little bit at a time. When the civil rights really is all about treating people like human beings. Everybody should be treated. God created everybody. Right. And so when you pick it out, like we've done for so many years, we tend not to get anything. And then something that belongs to us, like, I'm not saying this belonged to us, but, it was initially created equality. But when you think about equal rights, or what is that amendment that they want to say, but white women actually benefited more than anyone else. And so you have to really say to yourself, it got to be a point in time when we take ownership of something that we go ahead and make it work for us, and not look for not look for something to happen outside of the parameter of us changing our kids' education makeup. I don't think our boys, girls are going to, our boys would not be in prison at the rate that they are, because the prison system do a research in third and fourth grade. They do it because they look at the third grade testing, and it's called prison pipeline. And when you look at the prison pipeline, you actually test to see how many prisons you're going to need when this group of kids graduate from high school. Wow. That is the most disgusting thing I've heard. And, every time I say it, it just brings bitterness to my mouth, because if you see that a child is having a problem in third grade, you need to fix it. So if you don't want to fix it, that teachers, parents, society, they know that this is a common thing called prison pipeline. So just let's not have our kids be exposed to it. So what we do is that we fix it in first grade.
Right. Wow.
And so now we got to create something that when our men are graduating from high school, they don't have the skills to understand what their interest and passion is, because they just been, promoted to the next grade. Our kids are graduating with 1.3, 1.5 GPAs. And what can you do with that? And so it's not necessary for them to get an education or learn character value, how to socialize within society and all those things, because it hasn't happened for 10 years that they've been in school. So then you have to create a progress program like 3Ps, which teach the kids how you about your passion and your interest. How do you pursue it? And so how do you pursue it? And in long term, it helps you. It's designed to help you find your focus. I mean, your purpose.
Right.
But we're not doing that. So our kids, here we got boys going out killing people. And one kid said, I don't know what I was thinking. It didn't seem like it was going to be found. I was just so mad I couldn't control myself. You know, these kind of things are taught when the kids are young. You know, you see a kid with a temper tantrum, you fix it then.
Right. That's right.
And, you know, now when you throw a tantrum, it's a small temper tantrum. They falling out in the floor, kicking the refrigerator and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're injuring themselves. When they get to be an adult, they're pulling out a gun because they haven't mastered their temper tantrum.
Right.
You know, it's a lot going on in our community.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the dollar's not circulating. We're allowing people to come in, open up restaurants and open up convenience stores in our neighborhood. They take it. They don't live there. They take the money, take our money, and then go and put their money in their community.
Right. Right.
Our dollar has it keeps getting weaker. We've got 6 hours that our dollar circulates in our community.
Right.
You know, so this is what the book is designed. It sounds like a lot for the book to do, but I'm my position. And by the way, this is not research based. But my position, if I'm going to feel proud about something, and I'm going to love Theresa, I got to know who Theresa is. I got to know what Jesse Council did, which is my grandfather. I got to know what Reuben Council did, and so forth. And that those are my legacies down in North Carolina. And so I know a lot about what happened in my family. And so it shaped who I am today. You know, if you don't know anything, you can't be shaped. You know, you can't take pride to your school. Anywhere I walk in, I feel like I'm supposed to be there.
I see. Right.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. I know, like I said, as I was growing up, whatnot, there used to be this thing basically called, everybody was part of a village, and the village took care of your kids and stuff. If the mother had to go to work, or she had to, do something special or something, for whatever day or whatnot, and she needed somebody to babysit, she had a village of people she could call and stuff to help her do that. This day and time, I think a lot of that has gone away as well.
That absolutely have gone away, and people don't like to talk about it, and they don't like to talk about it. But if you take your kid at birth, you send them to a daycare when they get like 3 months old. So you got your kids in daycare at 7 o'clock in the morning. You're picking them up at 5. You get home at 6 or 7 o'clock. You're winding down. Dinner is at 7 or 8 if you didn't pick something up, and your kids are going to bed. If they're young, probably let's say 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at the latest. So each day you're spending community time with your kid of 1 hour, and you're turning your child over to an institution to basically raise and structure your kids for the majority of their time.
Right.
So parenting is a hard job, but because we have a situation of greed right now in America. We have a situation of greed. So what transpires is we're always chasing things. Right. We're always chasing things. And so, I mean, I was speaking to a lady, and she changes her furniture every 5 years. And she's not in a financial position to do so because this stuff is on credit at 24% interest. But she don't see a problem with that. But what I'm saying is that we do things like that while our kids are in daycare.
Right.
And that means that we're really, people don't want to say it because it doesn't sound good. We're not the one that's really raising our kids. You know, we don't have that, like you said, grandmother and grandparents, they raised you, so they have some of the same value system that you have. Right. That your grandparents that you carry along. So that's the same value system that when you leave your kids with your grandparents or your aunt or something like that,
Yeah.
if you have to go, and it's like a team effort. When you could say, Risa did X, Y, and Z during the day,
Mm-hmm.
but these are some of the issues that we're concerned with, is that we need to get past the idea. I think having things is a great thing, but you have to earn it and do it when you don't have any kids, and when you have kids, spend the time and it just pays off in the long run.
Right, right. I catch you. Okay, cool. And getting back to technology, back when we went through COVID-19, those 2 years really shaped America in a different light, especially when it came to technology, because it pulled a lot of our older people that were used to going to church or whatnot. It took them away from church. Many of them didn't know anything about how to use a computer or a smartphone or that kind of thing. And then your kids and stuff actually had an opportunity really to teach mama and daddy or grandma and granddaddy, teach them those things. What are your thoughts and stuff about that in relation to your book that you have out on technology?
Well, Miriam Crook is the one when you're talking on Zoom, voice over IP, which is actually what Zoom is.
Mm-hmm.
She was the main inventor of that, and that's an African American woman.
Okay.
And Janet Basin,
Mm-hmm.
applications, this first software application for a Black person was Janet Basin. And so first of all, you have two profound people that is instrumental in that whole process that you had to do during the COVID time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they could have done, I'm not sure, I don't know whether or not it has been a profound thing for the kids to actually teach their parents. I don't know if they did that at all. But what I will say is that it was definitely an opportunity. But a lot of the schools' performance during COVID failed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the schools was having problems in the kids connecting. But the tool that they use as it relates to the tool that they use, the computer and how to be able to do it, Marion Croak had a profound impact on our ability to do that. These are the kind of things I think that our kids should know when they turn it on and they look at voice over IP, and you can think about what Marion has done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can think about every time they send you an application to fill out over the line, you can look at Janet Basin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the COVID was a tragedy, but it also was an opportunity. I didn't have any young kids in school, but I can imagine the hardship for some people. But I don't think that people should. I've heard so many people say that they hated it because they had to spend time with their children. Now, that is not that is not something you really want to hear,
Right.
because that's part of your birth job. That's part of your commitment to your child. I think somebody should have written and encouraged people, and the podcast that we do encourage people how to handle this in a way that they can appreciate it.
Right.
I
hear you.
So anyway, that's we had a profound impact in that area as well.
Right. I see. Okay. So beyond this book, what else are you working on? What else? I guess more than anything is like, how is the book doing? Is it, or have you released it yet? And what are the sales like? Just what's happening and stuff with the book exactly.
Well, it has been released since October, and you can purchase it on Amazon, and the sales are constantly moving. I never know what sales are until the third and until the quarter, but the book is moving. This is how I determine whether sales are improving. Every time I get a check, it's better. But
very good.
But the a lot of the things for me is that I would like for corporations to purchase the book to be able to give to the children so that we as a group of people can start sharing, start knowing exactly what we have done. That includes the parents, because our African American parents' knowledge on Black history is so small. Um, and I'm going to reach out and say that I've sent my sample copies out to many people, and most people didn't know more than two people in the book. It's 7 men, 7 women. Most of them did not know the people. We don't know our history.
Right.
We don't know what we have done. And so, and if people want to buy a book and donate it to a child, they can do that through synergytrainingsolution.org. And they can purchase one for themselves and purchase one for a student. That is something that we put out. My next book is called Blacks in STEM, and I have a parenting book for and the teenagers are in school, because it's structured in a way to help them stay in school, help them have that transition of child and parent to be one of a greater ease for them. And so and I'm doing a webinar on that section, so school districts can have it, and the kids and the students can be able to look at it and see and go back and forth to it and see what they need to do.
I see.
And for little kids,
Right.
my son and I have been working on a book for finance for 1st to 3rd grade. So I was we were highlighting some things in a book with someone, and they were saying, oh, I need to learn this. So I'm sure it's gonna translate into older people understanding some of the things, because we do spend a lot of money. The African American community have trillions of dollars that they spend each year on disposable income. So I think that we need to start taking a look at our economics, which is not my focus right now. The education, you need the education in order to impact the economics. And in the book, this is what I want to leave you with. In my book, it lists the HBCUs, the historically Black colleges and universities, of if they graduated from Hampton, or if they graduated from Virginia State or Spelman, wherever. It lists that. And some people graduated from PWIs. It also lists that as well. But I wanted to make sure that people understand that the HBCUs are doing some wonderful and great things still. And it also lists the people that did not get a degree, and they have, like Louis Latimer, which created the filament for the light, which enabled the light bulb to stay on, as such, which we use today. He created that, and he's a self-taught engineer. The elevator door opener, Alexander Miles, he created elevator door opener. He's a self-taught engineer as well. Now, the one that's profound that everybody can see each and every day is the traffic light. Now, Garrett Morgan is a mechanical and self-taught engineer. Each one of these guys have over 100 patents.
Wow. Very good.
And so your brilliance comes in all shapes and form. So if you decide that you want to be a plumber, you could be just as quick as a millionaire as the next person. Why? Well, I got some plumbing work done for $150 an hour. The guy was there for 10 minutes. I still paid $150.
Right. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
So you gotta know that we can do it at all different levels.
Right. Absolutely. Right. Okay. Right. So for young people who want to pick up your book and possibly further what you are doing, what's your advice to them?
I would say go for it. That's what I would say. I would encourage people to look at their passion and their interests, and just don't and pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what life is all about. You got something sort of stand in your heart and your spirit. You know, it was put there for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to learn how to pursue it and stay with it, even though the journey may become a little difficult, a little challenging. You still have to stick with it. That's what I would tell people, because a lot of time I hear people say, I was going to write a book, but girl, this, that, and the other, it takes a lot of time. I just don't have the time to sit down and do this. Or either I got to go and do research and the library said this, or I couldn't find that. You just have to stay with it, because this journey is not an easy journey. You know that Black books are not the best sellers
Mm-hmm.
in this country, and especially the children book.
Right.
So the journey itself is very challenging. And so I just stay with it, hoping that people will care enough about the journey, about the content of the book, opposed to me focusing on the journey to get here.
Right, I see. But this
That's what kids need to remember.
right. But again, like you said before, your books actually are different because you're teaching young people from an aspect of technology opposed to, other stuff. This is real stuff, for a real world we live in. So this is very good.
Well, I hope so. But I still got the Carter G. Woodson material that I will come out with sometime later.
Mm-hmm.
And just to give people food for thought, that every aspect of this country we have had a hand in.
Mm-hmm.
From the environmental to the refrigeration to the stove to equipment to finance, every aspect we have had a hand in, but you don't see us that way. And it's time for us as Black people to start showcasing that.
I see. Right.
And so, yeah. And so the church the church has a commitment
Mm-hmm.
to because they were strong leaders. They weren't the first people, but they were strong leaders. And in dealing with our civil rights issue. And this is still a civil rights issue. Uneducated people, when you pay for education, regardless of whether you have kids in school or not,
Mm-hmm.
you're paying for education. And our kids aren't getting it. It is time for us to turn around and take a look and see what's going on. Why is our house on fire and no one putting it out?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Our house is on fire. Gary, take a look. Right, in a few years, the digital footprint
Mm-hmm.
is going to be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And if we as Black people do not change the trajectory of for us in education, economics, political, and the healthcare field, it is going to be a major problem for us.
Right, right.
Our house will burn down. Right now it's on fire, and we just still hollering about it's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't take care of these problems, our house is going to burn to the ground.
We really do appreciate our guests who participate in this episode, and we hope you learned something that will bless your day and your life. For all who are interested in learning more about the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, please visit www.amazon.com and order my book, The Gary Clement Radio Show, When Strong Afro-American Men and Women Stand Up. It covers everything about us and features a variety of Afro-American personalities who speak out about the importance of education and literacy in the Black community. Well, we thank you for tuning into our podcast. Please send us your email address so we can contact you when we have new releases and new episodes and new projects as well. You can reach us at gccpresents@yahoo.com. And also, if you're interested in submitting any materials or want to get in touch with us, please do so by simply sending an email to gccpresents@yahoo.com. That's G as in Gary, C as in Charlie, C as in Charlie, presents@yahoo.com. So until next time, do take care. And this is a